All right, mates, welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's had a great weekend. Monday, rest and recovery day. Although it's freaking a beautiful day. It's brutal out, to be honest with you, before we get back out on it this week on the Shenandoah. Hopefully we're going to get some points south, South Fork Shenandoah this week, hopefully. But let's talk a little bit about Shenandoah this last weekend. On the Saturday the 6th, you had a Bass Cast Kayak Series event with about 23 anglers hitting that on the water. A beautiful day all around, obviously, on Saturday. If you were fishing anywhere in the valley or up towards western Maryland on the Upper Potomac, it was just a beautiful day. Really didn't matter. Water levels were obviously low. Like I said in some previous videos, for me, I was concentrated on Millville Dam down to Front Royal, kind of hitting some stages, Barry. That's a Route 7 bridge. You guys know I'm from Loudoun, so I'm used to like Clark County, Loudoun County, kind of coming down in and down up Route 7, hitting, doing the floats from Barry or Castleman's Ferry. I think, it all depends on what people call it different names. Up and down that stretch. When I say Barry, I mean that stretch. Below, north and south, upriver, downriver, upriver. From those areas above Front Royal. Now, the Front Royal gauge was at 1.3 over the weekend. That's pretty low, it's for me, from what I remember, really. Summertime, so hopefully we'll get some more flow coming. There have been some rains and stuff in the region. Just didn't really seem to impact it that much. Had some issues in the North Fork because of that low level water. Algae blooms again this summer. So that's an issue, obviously, in the region for all the anglers to come together with the river keeper and kind of make sure that we address that, identify that if you see that. Just kind of always either be follow the page of your river keeper on the river that you fish, whether it be the Potomac or the Shenandoah, James, Maury, New River, Halston, any of that stuff. You just always want to just you can drop them a line and say, hey, look, this is what I found on the water. This is what I saw in the water. When you're out there, they're not out every day. And so you just want to do that. But Bass Cast, here we go. So we had Bass Cast. If you're unfamiliar with Bass Cast, you can find them on Tourney X. I'm sorry. It's a Bass Cast Kayak Series. It's pretty much in Western Virginia. Pulls a lot of anglers, Virginia, Tennessee, and then that part. Like Southwest Virginia Yackers, which is another group I'll talk about in a second. Really dedicated to those rivers. Which is why it's a great group. If you're in the region and you want to get some river fishing under your belt, right? Whether you want to be a competitive angler or not, or you just want to go out and kind of cut your teeth in a tournament or anything of that regard. I just love river fishing. That's what I'm about. I'm a river rat, so that's just where I'm at. So I always try to get as many people out on the river. Experience the river because it changes every day. It does not matter. You see this here's the difference. You see this in competitions, local tournament trails, where it oftentimes different top three, different winners, right? Different because of the river changes daily. It sets up daily different for people's strengths. It really all depends on whether or not you're an all-around river angler, you're a grass guy, you're a shallow crank guy, you're a jig guy, and then what particular sets up on that Saturday for you. That's how it comes down. You look at last month, Bass Cast was on the Upper James and the Maury. They had about 16 anglers compete in that. A lot of the guys are still in the top 10, obviously but then obviously the Shenandoah fish is a little bit different than the Maury and the Upper James, depending on a lot of other factors. So it's just a lot of fun, so you can work on different rivers that set up different. Their compositions are different. They may have more or less grass. Their water level may be higher or lower. They may have more rock or more sand. All these things factor into whether or not, you can be competitive on, say a national tour on some of these river systems, right? So it's great to be on local trails and join them and fish them when you can, once a month or so. Bass Cast Series is fished, if memory serves, I'm going to correct me if I'm wrong. They fished the Shenandoah, they fished the Maury Upper James, they fished Leesville, Smith Mountain Lake, New River, and Philpott that I'm aware of this year. I know they have another event, I think, and a championship event coming up. But look at those places, man. If you're from Virginia, Tennessee, I mean that's just a depth, right, for that type of fishing that I encourage everyone to check out for next season. They may keep monthlies. They may do monthlies as well. Southwest Virginia Yackers, they do a monthly. So Southwest Virginia Yackers, they usually have a tournament once every month. I participated in a few of those tournaments. And they're just a lot of fun because, you're not necessarily, you don't have to go that far from your home. If you're below the 44th, it's like you can fish in a Tennessee body of water, West Virginia, North Carolina, Virginia, all the way down Alabama, all that stuff, right? Missouri, I think, is in that. So it's like you can check it out, and it's smallmouth only in their events. But like for me, I could just drop down and be like, 15 minutes, I'm on the water. I'm gonna fish the Upper Potomac. Now, do I have any inclination that I'm gonna beat some guy that's on the New River or Holston? Probably not. But you never know. That's why you do it. It's why you participate in a local club. It's like you never know. I would love for Upper Potomac to show out one time, right? It would be awesome. It's my local river. So, I want to support my local river. So, as opposed to, driving 3, 4, 5, for Southwest Virginia Yackers last month, it would have been a 5-hour drive for me to get to the meetup for the benefit event, which was great that they put on for a mate down there that was in need. So, it was so having that and being able to just fish it out of my local ramp, my tournament, and just see how it goes, be on the water anyway. It's just a lot of fun. And you could do that if you live in any of those states. What's interesting right now about Southwest Virginia Yackers is they started this year a month long from June until September, I think. I think it's June 1st to September 1st. And currently right now, the best 5 on that tournament trail, okay, is 97.5 inches of smallmouth. Think about that for a second. You have 4 or 5 anglers right now going into September, 3 weeks left, okay, tied with 97.5 inches of smallmouth, best 5. Mates, just throwing this out there. Again, it's a month long. I know people don't like month longs. I know there are people out there who just have their thing about the challenge series for KBF. They have their whatever. I get that. That's more inches than were caught at Hobie, Susquehanna in a 2-day event. Okay, but if you took the best 93 and 95 ish in the 2-day, okay, each day, that right there that's more than Susquehanna. Think about that. Now again, it isn't apples and apples because that's okay, people are fishing a lot of places and all that. I'm just using that as an illustration that the smallmouth populations and the size of those smallmouth are starting to come back. That's really all I'm saying. I'm not saying that the New River, although I would put up the New River. I would love to see head-to-head between the New River and Susquehanna sometimes. I would love for a national trail to go to New River, just like I would love for a national trail to go to frickin' James River. Those are 2 of the best fisheries in Virginia, and no national kayak trails are going there. I mean, for me, I'm like, what? Susquehanna's a great place, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Susquehanna. They've been there 3 years. I'm not saying they should leave there. I'm just saying how as great as that event is, you can have another great smallmouth event on the New River and another great largemouth event on the James River. Just saying. Don't know who's going to take advantage of it. Hobie, KBF, maybe Bass will come. They do the Northern Opens out of the James River. I mean, maybe. I mean, I'm just saying. Those fisheries, again, this year are showing out and fishing at a high level. And you have to recognize that. Most of the guys in that month long are from Virginia that are in the top 10. There's one guy from Tennessee. So he could be fishing Holston. He could be fishing anything. But I'm just saying, most of those guys are probably fishing the New River. Okay? The ones from Virginia. Because there's some big ones in there. And people aren't talking about the New River at the national scene. They're not. Okay? And it's a shame. Because they should. So let's get back to the Shenandoah. I've been really excited. I've had hit or miss. I'm gonna tell you, it's been a tough bite. 63 inches one day, 82 inches one day. And it's like, it's hit or miss, depending on where you're at. I mean, for me, I'm what the most frustrating thing I think for most anglers, and I think most people would tell you this during pre-fishing, and I got to start shutting it down, like, because I just love being on the water. But man, you fish after 3 p.m. and you can't fish after 3 p.m. in most tournaments. Okay, most settings. There is an event like a KFL event where I think they do like 12 to 7. That's pretty cool. For some of the events because of summertime and all that stuff. But man, you get 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you get on a bite. If I took the smallies caught after 5 o'clock, 5 to 7 p.m., okay, in the last 3 days, 4 days, okay, it's 88, 89, like easy, almost probably 90 inches. But, tournament day, that wouldn't count, right? Because you got to catch them all before 2:30, I think, 3 p.m. For a lot of competitions like that. It's just like, man, it's so brutal out. It's 90 to 95 degrees. The water level is 2 feet or less. These fish, they're feeding, man, in the early evening when it cools off a little bit. Like that. That's what I found. So that's a struggle, right? But it's just like in the head, you're like, I got to stop doing this. I got to just get it because it just messes with your head because you're like, damn, you catch a 16, you catch a 16 and a half or something like that. And you're like, man, it's 5:45, 6:15, or one the other night was like 7 o'clock. Like you're like, damn, they're in here, but you got to catch them in the morning, or early afternoon in that regard. So let's talk a little bit about baits for the Shenandoah so far for me, just been my experience. And talking with some other people that have been out fishing the river this week because of the water levels. I mean, it's not the same everywhere. You want to can't stress this enough, find some moving water, mates. You got to find some seams and some channels. Coming from the dam, coming from a ledge drop off, any of the ledges that you can find these on Jates Bait and Tackle has a great website. Go to jatesbaitandtackle.com. You'll be able to click on resources, I think, but they've got all the maps for Shenandoah, man. This is their bread and butter, okay? Most of the people that shop there are fishing either the lakes there or that river. They got great tackle selection as well, but check them out. Also check out frontroyaloutdoors.com for your water conditions out of Front Royal. Remember, that's where the North Fork, the Main, and the South Fork kind of like, So check that out, that gauge out. I'm pretty give you a really idea of Riverton and all that stuff. Kind of right there. It was like a 1.3 yesterday. Last time I checked. And then you have Downriver Canoe Company. Sorry. Great for South Fork-ish. Like great water conditions. They'll tell you low, normal, whatever. It tells you like what they're doing with their stuff. Like if they're not sending their guide, if they're not sending their guides out or their canoe trips, their floats out or whatever, that tells you what the water's like, right? You also have to gauge this if you're floating, which is we all do on the Shenandoah. Okay, is you have to like understand that if the water is 1.5 feet or less, your float's going to take longer. You're not getting as much current flow. Okay, and so you've got to gauge that if that's what you're doing. You're going from any one of the access points exit on Main or north if you're going from Catlets to Riverton, however you're doing it. You got to be aware that you're not in 3-4 feet of water with a nice current flow that's going to help you. Okay. So you got to allocate a lot more time for that, especially if you're stopping and fishing and picking things apart. It's going to take you a lot longer. Trust me. And you're going to bang some shit up. Okay? That's the other thing. So be prepared. I tell people, it's like, look, I like to take the inflatable, advanced elements inflatable, advanced frame out, convertible frame. I call it my Scout because on that river in the Upper Potomac when we're below 3 feet. Because you're going to mess up. I learned that with the kayak. Like you're going to do some damage. And if you got if you're trying to run a trolling motor, you're trying to run Taquito, you're trying to run Newport, whatever like that, good luck. You're going to just good luck. Like it's like you're going to do some damage because it just you're in it, you're out of it. No rocks. Like it just the composition completely changes, your ledges and all of that stuff. So I would get, obviously you're going to spend half or more than half myself out of the kayak tethered walking in the river this week, unless something dramatically changes. So just food for thought, So let's talk some baits for me. Obviously, I am working with a lot of custom bait makers for the release this fall. For those of you who aren't familiar with the release coming, it's a custom bait box that's coming out. It'll include 5 or 6 custom only baits. Okay, not the stuff you're finding at big box stores. Okay, these guys are artists. These are craftsmen in what they do. Whether it be balsa, whether it be crankbaits, soft plastic, jigs, lots of stuff. Awesome glide baits and swim baits. Awesome stuff. Okay, I can't stress that enough. We'll get more into that as we get closer to the fall. But I will be giving away sample boxes to my YouTube followers, okay? I can't stress that enough either. I mean, why not? Just freaking hit a freaking subscribe button. Get us to where we need to be. And also, if you're a follower on TikTok, get us to where we need to be on TikTok. I think it's like 1,000 or so. We just got dropped on TikTok here in the last 2 weeks or so for river shots and bait shots and all that stuff. Then we go live. When we go live from the water. We go live from the bait maker studio. We go live from all that stuff. We'll give shit away. That's just the way it is. If people know me, if they come up to me at the ramp, people that have met me at the ramp, for everyone, whoever's well, I'm always giving baits out, okay, that I make. Always giving them out. That's it. That's what it's about. It's about sharing knowledge. Dropping knowledge, sharing knowledge, making other people better, inspire people to get out on the water and all that stuff. So that's why I talk about baits. And I talk about fishing locations and access points. It's not the spot burn. It's not to blow up somebody's preferred bait for a tournament. It's not any of that stuff. Okay, that's a small niche of people. Like the most people that you're seeing out on the river are not tournament anglers. They are just everyday people who just want to get on fish. And there's nothing like getting into a smallie. Period. Don't care. Although musky bite is actually pretty nice if you get into one of those big ones. In the Upper James. Let's talk baits. So obviously, if you watched any of my videos before, Susquehanna, Upper Potomac. Now we're talking Shenandoah. What are the bait differences? For me, the biggest thing is you want to downsize your baits. That's my personal preference. For me, doesn't mean there are a bunch of power guys that will never do it, but I'm just telling you, for me, my bite, how I fish, the manner in which I fish, which is subjective, everybody fishes differently. Okay, everybody styles differently. Everybody uses a different rod, a different setup. Okay, they present lures differently. People do not tell you that. Okay, just because you go and buy a freaking bait off the shelf at Bass Pro, okay, doesn't mean you're going to catch fish. Okay, because somebody else did. Because they're how they presented it, when they presented it, how long did they wait before they did a twitch and go? How long did they wait before they did a pop on a jerk bait? All this stuff matters, mates. Okay, and we're going to start breaking it all down. All right, and so early morning, I started with this little Jambo right here. Simple. You can find a Spook Juniors. You can find all kinds of different size. It's not a big one. Okay. But this is an awesome painted, matches the forage fish. Name me one place in the world where game species aren't feeding on freaking blue or bluegills, sunfish. Also another great pattern. I don't think I brought it out of the box is the pumpkin seed, because you will catch them. You'll catch them on that. Do not. I don't have it out today. Do not. Okay. Regardless of what people will tell you, some people have told you, or too many people, don't sleep on a lipless crankbait. I know it's August. Okay. Banging it off of rocks. That action will create some strikes. Okay. I'm just telling you. Write that. All right. So for me, obviously, this is a morning. I went in the morning, got some hookups on this. Did not throw a whopper plopper. Okay, just letting you know, it's not my jam. All right, probably would work too. I mean, I'm just saying, early in the morning. What do you mean by early in the morning? I mean 6:30 to like 8:30. Okay, that's for me. That's early for me. I know it's not early for a lot of people to get up and go to work at 5 a.m., but that's early for me. So start with that. Okay, then there's something I want to talk about. It's been a couple videos I've seen on YouTube, man, that I just got to say that I have no idea what they're talking about. The color doesn't matter. Like, it's a factor, okay? It's a factor. And if you go out there and you throw baits and you're throwing the same bait from the same manufacturer, say, but you change up the colors and you get strikes and you go back to the other color and you don't get strikes, color's a factor. Okay? It's not the factor, it's a factor. Okay? That has to be factored in to the weight you're using, the size hook you're using, the line you're using, the presentation method, all that stuff. They are factors, okay? So I don't know what's going on with a couple of those guys that are like, color doesn't matter and your crawl colors don't matter, and they matter where I fish because I fished all of them in terms of different colors to find out which one does better. Catch rates, right? You guys know me. I'm a numbers freaking metric dude. So it's like, from crypto, if you follow me on the crypto channel. So I look at catch rates. I have a little notebook. I document every single catch I make. What lure I catch it on. Time of day. Obviously where I was. Water level. Everything. So I know. Okay? And so I'm going to tell you the difference between, for me, Susquehanna, Upper Potomac, Shenandoah. The catch rates go up substantially on a chatterbait when you throw a white chatterbait. Okay? Now, for me, silver blade, gold blade, that is always a preference thing. I have them both, and I have them both on purpose. Okay? Because flash is everything, depending on your light. Okay? And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But your trailer, downsize your trailer, mates. Downsize your trailer on this. And the other one I was throwing is downsize a trailer on a flat out jig. Okay? Very small paddle tail trailer. It's a great hair jig. Okay? With a little color. Go chartreuse, go red, go white. Okay? Got the white in there. Also have chartreuse. Okay? Water clarity should not be that big of a deal unless we get some significant rain event. Okay? So, again, chatterbaits. Two different chatterbaits here. They look the same. They're not. Okay? Can't really see that, but some have some red in it. Okay? Weights are different. Okay? Change your blades. And a lot of people make a lot of mistakes throwing chatterbaits, me included, for a long time. Okay? Till I started changing things up a lot. Basically, when I first started fishing chatterbaits, my catch rates weren't nearly as high as they are now. Because basically, I was just retrieving it. I was fishing a chatterbait more or less like a whopper plover or a spook. That was what, I was burning it, more or less. Like, now that I've slowed it down and I've stopped it, let it hit stuff, catch rates are a lot higher. And on the Shenandoah, this is highly effective. But before you go with this, and either with or after, what I mean by with this is have them tied on two rods and work it at that 6:30 to 8:30. Is throw a buzzbait with white. Chartreuse in there, all the better, but throw a buzzbait, mates. Okay? Throw it. Okay? Just throw it early in the morning, trust me. Okay? That's going to give you an indication of how long and what's going to happen with that bite. Okay? Then, when those bites are gone and you see the drop, and usually for me, 11. 10:45 to 11:30. Okay, we're getting that heat. Sun's about coming all the way up high, right? Okay? This is when I'll switch it up. All right? Oh, by the way, let me show you one more. White, right? Also go, depending on the water. Okay? The water looks a little bit, it's not clear. You should be able to see the bottom, mates, because it's only 1.5 to 2 feet of water. But if there's some kind of stain or whatever, go to this one right here. Go to a green chatterbait gold blade. Okay? Trust me. So if you get any of that, if not, stay with the white. White colors, chartreuse colors, whatever. But if you do get in a section, if there's creeks coming in that are putting mud into there, because it'll muddy up really quickly as the water level comes up, go with a darker one, okay? Now, when we get into that 11 to 2 p.m. phrase, a lot of people hate that time of day. A lot of people hate that time of day. I actually love it, okay? You got to downsize everything and finesse fish. That's my experience, okay, on these shallow rivers where I live. And that is where I beat this to a pulp to people because they sleep on it. People don't want to fish a Ned rig. I get it, okay? People think it's boring. People don't have the patience for it. I get it. But if you want to get bites when the sun's up high, okay, and it's freaking 95 degrees on a water with less than 2.5 feet of water, go with the Ned rig and go with a hair jig. Okay, either don't go with the custom soft plastic. You can use whatever you want. Buy it off the shelf. You can cut your regular 6-inch Senko in half. You can do whatever you want, mates, to get something on there. Or you just flat out throw the hair jig. Lighter hair jig. Okay? Let it lighter. You don't want to use a heavy jig. Okay? Because when you use that heavy jig in the Shenandoah, it's going to drop like a rock. Okay? And you don't want that. You want it to stay in that water column a little bit longer. Okay? And then when it hits the bottom, I put a video out on YouTube of just a simple hair jig with a Ned trailer, working it, pausing it, 5 seconds. Okay? 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2, between you moving that, making it look like bait on the bottom. So this chartreuse obviously is a really good color to have in any of your bait combinations for sure. And then obviously I've got green, successful, and then just black with black and blue. Okay, pretty simple stuff. All right, mates, that was just an update on baits, Shenandoah. All right, mates.